So Nick has his smoker lit, and he's going to go over to Miss Behaven. Queen's name is Sassy. And he's going to first give him a little smoke. And that just helps calm him down. It's a cool white smoke. There's very specific items you use in there, like burlap, pine cones, things like that. And what that does, it just kind of calms them down. It sends a little bit of a signal that there might be a fire coming, and so they need to go inside to prepare, because if there were a fire, they would all go gorge on honey so that they had some food stores and would leave. So it kind of just sends them back inside. So you can see a little piece on the top there, that's a screen, and at the top it's open, so there's ventilation, but we don't want other bees or wasps or whatever other critters may want to get in there, get into the hive. And so that little piece on top, which you'll probably hear a crack here when Nick cracks it, that's propolis that's coming loose. And you can see the screen so that they get the ventilation, but they don't get wasps, other bees from other hives and wasps. And so now he's going to start taking supers out and hand them to me, and I'm going to take the caps off. So we're doing a honey harvest here. And so Nick is getting the supers, which is what these are called, honey supers, out of the hives, and I'm harvesting. So I've got a little tool, looks like this. We've already been harvesting, so it's got some honey on it. First thing I do is I take my hive tool, and I'm going to scrape the propolis off. And if you don't know what propolis is, give it a Google. But it is the stickiest stuff you can imagine. Bees use it to basically glue shut any cracks in their hive. So when you go in, everything has propolis on it. So I'm going to scrape that off because I want it. And you can soak it in alcohol. I actually haven't made this yet, but we have enough propolis now to try it. And it's supposed to be like a great throat spray if you feel a cold coming on or something. I'm also going to scrape off some, what's called burr comb here. It's a comb that they made to fill in some gaps. And all this in here, I'll show you when we're done, I'm going to use to make things like lip balm, and probably not any candles, probably not enough honey or enough wax. So what I'm doing now, the bees have capped this. You can see I've got a girl over here wondering what we're doing with her stuff, which means it's fully dehydrated and ready for us to eat, as well as for them to store for the winter. Well, the honey won't come out if we don't take these cappings off. So that's what this handy dandy little tool comes in. So all I'm doing is I am taking off as little as possible. Now I'm going to use my other tool for some of the edges I couldn't get to with the bigger tool, because everything in here is honey. So I just want to take just the cappings off so we get as much of this good honey, oh, there's a girl that's stuck, as possible. If I take too much off, then it's going to end up in here and not in our honey extractor. A little more burr comb here. So this is going to make some nice white, pure beeswax once I render it all down. And that is capping a honey super. And just two quick comments. Nick pointed out to me with the propolis, we're not going to put it in rubbing alcohol. We're going to put it something like in vodka, and then it becomes a spray. So rubbing alcohol you would not want to spray in your mouth. That would be poisonous, so please don't do that. And the other is, I mentioned that these would be stores that they would put in for winter. So these are a little shallower. These are mediums. They live in boxes that are deeper, that are called deeps. And so what we do is we leave them with a full deep of honey that they've already made. So we don't even put the box that contains all these supers on the hive until they have those two filled. And that way we make sure that we're good for winter. Because what we don't want to have to do is buy bees every year. We would like to get them through the winter. So once those are full, then we put these on, and that's where they lay honey. If things go right, they don't lay babies up in their super. Things don't always go right, as we found out this year. And sometimes they do, in which case that's another problem you have to deal with. But normally they just lay honey up in here. They only lay babies down in the 2 deeps. And so I didn't want anybody thinking that we're going to leave our girls without enough honey for the winter. We also have some extra supers that are made with sugar water honey that you don't want to eat. It's not very good, it crystallizes, it's not as flavorful, but the bees don't care. And so what we kind of do as a backup is if we have any of those sugar water honey supers left, then we'll put those on the top for the winter to give them just kind of some backup food stores as well. And you can see I got a couple of girls coming around here, if the camera's picking those up, trying to take some of their honey back. As soon as I get this done, they'll probably leave. One is already left. Sticky and hard to hang on to here. And then what I do is our extractor can take 2 frames at a time. So I take them over to Nick, and he's suited up because he's the one actually getting the supers off the bees, and then he's going to spin it, and centrifugal force is going to take all this great honey out of the super. That's what it looks like. And the reason we do it this way, see I'm all sticky, is we want to leave all that comb for the honey, or for the bees. And so that way they don't have to draw out all that wax. They draw out probably about that much wax to fill that out, and then they fill the cells with the honey. So if we can leave them with those already drawn out honeycomb, they don't have to redraw that out. There's some beekeepers that take the comb because they want to put the comb in the honey, and a lot of people like to eat the wax. It's just kind of like chewing gum. You just kind of chew on it. I personally don't like it because it gets stuck on my teeth. Maybe it's because I have a lot of caps. And I have trouble getting it off my teeth. But we don't want to take the comb, so we'll make our lip balm and hand lotion and stuff out of the cappings wax, which is the stuff I'm taking off so that we can get to the honey there. Okay, so what we've got going on now is the bottom of the extractor has a spigot and all that beautiful honey, and so we're double filtering to take out any bee parts or tree leaves that may have fallen in, anything like that during harvesting. We're going to cover it up though, because the girls want to get in there, and they will drown in the honey. And that's the extractor. So you gotta spin it both ways, get all the honey out of both sides, and then he'll take them out, flip them, and so they get spun twice. There's that awesome honey pouring into there. Wow, that's pretty. So now Nick's gonna go put them back. Of course, a commercial beekeeper would do things much differently, but we only have 2 hives that we're harvesting from today. So we're just taking them. Nick takes 1 frame at a time out and brings them over and spins them and puts them back. And then when he's all done, and you can see there's the 2 deeps, which is where the bees live. In the winter, they'll move down to live mainly in the bottom one. In the summer, they expand because they need more worker bees to make honey. So those 2 bottom are filled with babies, a little bit of honey, a little bit of pollen. And then as the winter goes, they'll continue to fill up that deep place where the babies were with honey and pollen. And that top one, hopefully in a few weeks, they'll fill back up again for us to harvest more honey. And the name of the queen in SCOTUS is, what else? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Wishing her well. So the first time we did this, we spent, gosh, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours cleaning up buckets in the extractor. We were like, wow, I don't know about this. And then we talked to a bee guy who looked at us with a funny expression, and he says, just leave it out for the girls to clean up. We're like, oh, yeah, huh. So this is the cappings that we took off of our honey super so that we could get to the honey. And of course there's a lot of honey that came out with it. And so I don't know if the buzzing is coming through. But the bees will take and clean this all up for us so it's not sticky. So we'll leave it out here for probably a day or two. I'll come out later this evening and I'll rotate the cappings so that the bottom's on the top, because there will be honey down there that they can't get to. And in about a day, this will all be nice and cleaned up, and my wax for lip balm.